Hey, friends. Well, I'm at the end of my first week of rehearsals, of my first week back doing live theater with a cast. And wow, there's something that I have to say, like today, this is an intense process. It's an intense process in the sense that there are simply no real moments off. And, so far I've been really occupied by the arranging side of it, which means I'm hustling out of rehearsal to try and get the next bit of music written. And I have another push to do in that department. I'm not quite done. But after that's done, there'll be another one. There's at least, I'd say that there are two major layers coming my way. And so, like, what has happened, or I guess where I've had this sense of just being completely in a it's like a flow state. It's a flow state of just total focus. I'm here in Houston. It'll be, when did I arrive? I guess I arrived, it's Sunday, so I arrived a week from today, I think. Yeah, like almost exactly 1 week ago. Because then I had Monday to get my act together, and Tuesday I was in rehearsal. So it's been a straight week of just like total. It's like running a sprint or something. And I had this interesting experience the last day or so, where reality seems vivid somehow. It's like looking around at my physical surroundings. It's almost like being in an altered state, or other people. I've had the sense of like, I'm really looking at that person's face right now. I see their face. Like, it sounds like I'm kind of, just getting a little loopy, but I've had this sense that I'm just being like channeled into a focus point, and I've not been around Annalise. I've not had any distractions from the work, and it's pretty cool to feel that. It's pretty cool to feel, even though it's exhausting, and I am exhausted. I'm clearly exhausted. It's still cool to feel that I'm moving in this way. I can feel myself growing. I can just feel myself growing. I'm operating in a new way. I'm operating on a new level, I would say. But I also took some time this afternoon. We had rehearsal, and I took some time afterwards I just walked downstairs in the theater and sat at a grand piano that they have in the lobby. I'm actually going to do a lesson with Madeline tomorrow. I haven't touched a piece of classical music in weeks, months, really like a couple months probably. But I found that going down to an actual acoustic piano and just playing for a little while, it's like it reminds me. It's like all of a sudden my hands are adjusting on the keyboard to the fact that there's a physical relationship to the keyboard that is not really, it's not that it's not present in the other kind of playing. It's just that it doesn't matter as much, so I kind of ignore it. You know, when you're playing a keyboard, it's all about the what's programmed, and the music isn't, you know, challenging necessarily from a pianistic point of view, but it's just the challenges are all the other aspects of what's going on, cueing the band, exact tempos, watching for all the different things that are happening in the room that I have to be aware of in order to make the whatever decisions I'm making. It's a different thing, but it's not as physically related. It's not like I'm grabbing a hold of an instrument in the same way and making music with it. It's a different kind of music. It's just a different process. And I found it really, really grounding. It was like, oh, okay. There's my body, there's my hand. Oh, right, that's what my wrist has to do to play that little passage or whatever. Just getting reconnected. And I'm seeing Madeline tomorrow, and I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be like being in a different universe for 1 hour. And I'm so grateful that it's happening. I'm just incredibly grateful that that's happening. And then I'll be right back to work because I got a bunch of other stuff to do. But I think, you know, the thing that has kind of showed up that I spoke about a minute ago, you know, this feeling of being completely present, just completely one-pointed focus. That's it. The interesting thing about that is it's also showing up in my other relationships. It's like I had a session with a dear friend this morning. My God, someone who's just doing some of the deepest work I know I've ever seen anyone do. And I could tell that I was also very present with her. It was like the fact that I have this kind of immense amount of work and this project that is keeping me completely absorbed in it didn't prevent me from being present in this other way, which is more of like when I'm working as a creative teacher, a creative coach, or in some ways it's part collaboration, part coaching, you know. But I found that the presence that I've gained just from 1 week of work was really useful. It was like I was there, and that made that was I was relieved by that, because I felt like, oh, this work isn't taking me, this musical, the rehearsals that I'm doing, they're not taking me away from my other work. They're actually enhancing my focus. They're actually enhancing my capacity for focus. And keeping, as long as it stays, as I'm not sort of like drifting from what's in the top, you know, what's my top priority? What's my kind of like guiding? What is the work that truly guides me? And what is the work that is sort of following a higher inspiration? As long as I keep that straight, everything feels great. There's no conflict in doing something that's completely absorbing and that takes all of my energy and focus for a while. And you know, it's in some ways it has affirmed my choice to do this gig and to leave home for as long as, I had I've never had quite so much of a struggle, partly because I've always craved this feeling of like, just totally 100% in on a project, and it's so much fun to see it come to life, and it's so all-consuming, and I kind of craved that. Well, this time I don't think I craved it, but I'm finding that I'm even more prepared for it. I feel more prepared, and part of that is just accepting the responsibilities of family life. I speak to Katie a couple times a day, and what she's doing, like that, getting up every day with a 3-year-old, being present with a 3-year-old, the kind of rhythm of life that happens with someone that age, and the space that I have as a creative person in that space, and the space that Katie has as a creative person, and as a leader of an institution now, that's so intense. And it's almost easier to show up in a new city, have one project, and yes, that project has so many different layers and aspects that it's essentially infinite. I will do infinite work until showtime, and there will still be work left to do. We're going to get it as good as we can, and there will always be things where we're kind of fiddling with it and wishing we could take one more little step forward. But even though it doesn't, regardless of how multifarious the project is, it's one project, and being able to dig into that with no distractions is almost easier than managing a life where a couple of areas require deep connection and real commitment, and the family is the context for all that. And that's the number one, that's the foundation of everything. Keeping that connection with the family, keeping the rhythm of the family, providing the needs, giving everyone what they need, and not that I'm the one always giving it, but I'm saying like just everybody providing what needs to be provided. I feel like that has prepared me for this work. I feel like it's like this work is like, oh, well, all I have to do is work 14 to 16 hours a day on this one project. Fine. That's clear marching orders, and so I'm just really enjoying the experience that I'm having of being fully engaged and drawn in by this project. And I'm enjoying the experience of seeing this is enhancing the other dimensions of my life. It's not a distraction. It's a step forward in a lot of good ways. It's always nice to realize that all the different things you're doing with your life are reinforcing each other, and one's not drawing you away from the other one. One's not the obstacle to the other ones. They're actually all mutually supportive of where our path is taking us. It's a wonderful thing to feel. So that's where I am today. So I'm in a very grateful place. I cannot wait to see Madeline tomorrow. I'm giving myself an hour or two to practice before I see her. So, but it's going to be fun. And I'll give you the update when it arrives. But thanks for watching, people. Love you. Appreciate you. Wonderful day. See you soon.